Oh my goodness, hello. All right. We're going to start talking about this book. But damn, it was crazy. What is everyone's first thoughts on part 3? What do we think of the book? Give me like your one-word answers, part 3. Go. Whew. Come on, part 3. What do we think? What do we think? This was like the crazy... This was the culmination of the book. What do we think? Thank you guys. Crazy. Thank you, Camille. Depressing. Okay. Oh my God, loved it. Thank you, Half Sam 2001. Heartbroken. Oh, Anna Caffeinaires, I'm heartbroken too. Intense. Good word. Good word. Plot twist. Loved it. Okay. Didn't expect anything to happen. Triforce Dragons. Love the name. Yes, I agree. Unexpected. Interesting. Sad. Okay. Very well written. Yes, very well written. I would agree. So sad. Unexpected. Really intense. See, I would say, the word I would say was eye-opening. So shook. Good word. Good word. Good use of that word. I agree 100%. All right. I'm going to read a quote. No, maybe not yet. Maybe I'll read that quote later. Yeah, I'll read that quote later. So, anger. Interesting. You think anger. I agree. Maybe look at the world in an entirely different way. Serenity Sunshine, you're so right. You like the last words. You read it in a day? Okay. So let's talk about the way the book was built. Let's talk about this first. Like, we read part 1. And what happened in part 1? Part 1 introduced us to this new world. The world of Ingsoc. The world of the party. The world of Oceania. Always at war with East Asia or Eurasia. Wherever the fell they say they're at war with. Right? So we were kind of indoctrinated into this system. We were brought into their world with all of its rigidity. Rigidity? Yeah. Rigidity is a word, right? With all of its rigidity, all of its where the focus was. We learned all the rules. Then in part 2, we broke all the rules. In part 2, we learned about him breaking the rules and falling in love and doing these things that directly contradict the party. And then part 3, we paid for it. I think part of it, for me, was like I felt like I was Winston, living through this world, seeing it through his eyes. And then I paid for it. I paid for all of our negative thoughts. I paid for agreeing with him. I paid for falling in love with Julia when we went to torture. No, but you see, Jamie Lee Carter, I think the whole point was to get there, to part 3. They prepared you for it, right? They talk about this world where there's no freedom, and then the guy finds his little bit, his little escape from this world, the one part of the world that makes him feel human, and then it was taken away from us in a very brutally disgusting, vile, vicious, aggressive way. And I was right about O'Brien. Hell yeah! Screw that guy. Oh my God. But there's something about the method of thinking that was allowed. He felt responsible 100%. The book is raw. Humankind is never safe. That's something I think, and that is one of the best things you could have said. I think 100%. I agree with you 100%. Orwell wrote this book to tell us that. George Orwell had that idea, and he wrote this book specifically to remind us and to keep in our minds that humankind is never safe. I love that. No, Rita, I don't think O'Brien is Big Brother personified. I don't think there is a living Big Brother. I don't think Big Brother is a real person. I think Big Brother is an idea. Because an idea cannot be destroyed. An idea can live on. Just as an idea is dangerous, and why they try to keep them from having it. They want to keep the idea of Big Brother always watching alive. The idea of the party and what the party stands for. See, I have a whole bunch of feelings about this book that I don't know if I want to say. Big Brother does resemble Hitler slightly. I think that's because I think that's a device because of the fact that when the book was written in 1949, Hitler was the first person that had, not the first, but the most physically grasp, like we could all grasp the idea of Hitler. So I think that was something, because it's only 5 years. You know, the war ended in what, 1945? Only 4 years later they write this book. Yeah, but I think there's so much that I want to kind of talk about. That's funny. Nana girl, nice. To die hating him, that's freedom. They stole his freedom. Why? Because he allowed them to infiltrate his minds. But this last, if I may speak for, I'm going to speak for a little bit because there are a few. I want to purge my thoughts about this. It might not be a widely accepted opinion. I'm gonna say that out loud now, but stick with me, and we might be able to find what I'm really trying to say, because I'm not sure if I know it. So over the weekend, I was at a film festival in Miami. It went really well. I think O'Brien is the personification of doublethink. I think that's good. I think that is true. So, my first thought in this whole process was that, oh shit, where is this? This is the problem when I don't have my quotes like up and ready. The appendix was heavy too. We'll talk about that towards the end. Here we go. So I talked to this really cool guy at this film festival, and he gave me this quote that, in the context of our book, was very interesting. The quote is by Noam Chomsky, and it says, "The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow a very lively debate within that spectrum. Even encourage the more critical and dissident views. That gives people the sense that there's free thinking going on, while all the time the presuppositions of the system are being reinforced by the limits put on the range of debate." He said that quote to me. I told him I was reading this book and we were talking about politics and whatever, and he said that quote. Did you guys read it, or was my hand covering it? So that's Noam Chomsky saying this. It doesn't say the year in which he said it, but that's him saying this. Then you've got Orwell talking about this eventual future, this terrible world where only 3 parties control the world. And at first, I think, well, we're not that different. How many superpowers are there left? Not many. Maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3, if you really want to get into it. The U.S., Russia, China, India's a growing and emerging market, Brazil's a growing and emerging market. But like, in terms of superpowers, there aren't really that many left. There are only a couple, only a few. So I'm thinking, all right, in that world there's Oceania, there's East Asia and Eurasia. I'm like, okay, so this is our world now. I'm trying to think how this world fits in. And at first I thought, oh God, we have to stop that world from happening. Right? We can't let that world be a thing. But then I think, we already live in that world. We already live in that world. We already have some of our true feelings being muddled by what society tells us is wrong or right. Right? In some societies, it is wrong for a man to love a man. So if a man loves a man, which is a beautiful and pure emotion, feeling, to love someone, he has it muddled by what's societally taught to him. He doesn't know if it's a true feeling because society keeps saying it's wrong. But the same thing can be said for the other side of it, the complete acceptance of it, because then any denial of that belief or thing is considered complete heresy at this point, right? In our world right now, we don't really have a lot of freedom of thought, and we're in a place where what is like the acceptable opinion is changing, and it's becoming smaller and smaller. What's acceptable? Think about it. All of the problems we have in today's world existed before that, good or bad. And now there is a voice being able to say, hey, I feel this way about things. I want to speak it. Which is cool. Yes, people who didn't have a voice before now have the ability to speak. And now have people who can actively hear them because of social media. And because of all these things, people have a voice, which is a beautiful thing. And we should never stop using it. But in giving those people voices, whoever you want to say those people are, the opposite side of the coin must exist because our world exists in balance. Or it's constantly trying to find balance. So as much of the good that is now allowed to be spoken of and fixed and worked on, so is the bad. And I think the example of that is the emergence of the alt-right, white supremacy, white nationalism in the United States. Yes, we are allowed to say, no, I don't think people should be treated like that. No, women should be compensated fairly for the work that they do. Regardless of sex, people should be treated the same. Regardless of gender, regardless of sexual identity, regardless of anything, they should be treated the same. But on the same side, we can't have that argument without allowing the opposite argument that says, I don't believe that. And the minute that we say that thought shouldn't be allowed is already kind of coming to this Orwellian dystopia where there is no longer freedom of thought. Because, think about it, anytime there's a thought against the party, it's a thought crime. And they're completely obliterated by the community and by the government so far as to in this last chapter, to rewire the way he thinks about his thoughts. So I'm sitting here, like literally, this last part, this part 3 of this book put me in a whole paradox of thought, and I was like, wait, but that means this, and that means this, that means this. And there's something that I think is super important, is the manipulation of the government in this. Think about it. O'Brien was able to get into Winston's thoughts and manipulate him that after, when they let him out, after all of his torture, after this whole horrible thing happened to him, he can't have any pure thoughts. Everything immediately, oh my God, I felt that naturally. No, that's not me. That's That I don't want to believe that. I'm part of... Do I think Newspeak ever will exist? I know that the English language will, at some point in time, transform, as do all languages over time. We just have to hope it transforms in a way that allows for more thought and more ideas to be spoken of. But I think there's already a solution to that, and that's learning more than one language. I think the idea that only one language should take over the world is wrong. I think it does make it easier, like in the Olympics, all the judges speak English. I think that makes it easier because everyone's like, all right, we figured this out, we can all talk about but I don't think we should ever eliminate other languages, because in German and in Italian and in Spanish and Chinese and in Arabic, there are things that they talk about to describe like certain feelings that we can't describe in English. Just because we don't have the words for it. And I think that's why they limit language, and that's why the appendix is important, because they talk about all right, so I'm going to jump into the book, because that was just my thoughts, because I'm like, wait, what does this mean? It means we're already living in that, and our feelings are already muddled, so the only way to free that is that if it's not, I don't know, because then it becomes my opinions and my political beliefs, and I never want to push that on you. Remember, my whole objective with the book club and with pretty much what I want to do in life is perpetuate education. I might say what I think and believe, but I want you to say what you think and believe. I want you to do your own research. I want you to discover new ideas and to build them in your mind, and then to speak them in the most specific way possible so as to explain them to other people, but not to ever enforce them. That's wrong. I don't think you should ever enforce the way you think on someone. I think if it's smarter and it makes sense, then naturally, if you just live that certain way and believe those things, they'll eventually be like, oh, you showed me this is right. But I think, so that's how I feel. I never want to enforce anything. All right, so I'm sorry I kind of went on a tangent, but let's talk about part 3. Let's dive in now. I'm going to learn other languages. It's going to be my thing. All right. Where's the first? I took some notes, too. Oh, someone said books give us power, words give us power, words have power, but at the same time, I don't believe they should have as much power, which is weird. I think you should be specific when you want to talk about things. Like, one of the reasons why Newspeak is so powerful is because it takes away your power. Right? I think Newspeak is so powerful because it doesn't allow you to consciously create thoughts, or consciously be able to say, this thought, if I put words to it, means this. Oh, no, it takes that away. So then, like they said later, I finished. So that later, when they get into the appendix, you see it. But I wrote a lot of stuff. I underlined every time they said room 101. I said quite a few times. Now I'm on to chapter 2. Did I not? Ah, there's one. All right, let's see what everyone else thought. What do you guys think? What's something you want to talk about first? Why did Julia betray him? I would say the same reason he betrayed her. Even rocks, after being eroded for thousands of years by water, will eventually break. So what would make a human different? No spoilers, please. No. This is what we're talking about. Unfortunately, if you haven't read the book, which you were supposed to have read by this point, I think you need to pass off the live. I'm sorry. We're going to be talking about spoilers here. I'm sorry. Would Winston be free eventually? Well, this is the whole concept of freedom. Where does freedom exist? Is freedom given to you, or do you give it to yourself? Aaron, I don't think Winston was 100% in love with Julia because he couldn't feel pure love. What do you think about a Winston still being attached to O'Brien even when he was tortured? That's an interesting question. I mean, if you read about torture and you read about stuff like that, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't read a lot about it, but I think it has to go from the fact that we're all still connected. Everyone's connected. Jade and I were talking about this. All of us are connected. Well, yeah, Leilithia, you said Orwell's concept of freedom was related to fight the system. Well, I just challenge you with the concept of what is a patriot. Is a patriot someone who complacently agrees with their government wholeheartedly all the time, or is it someone who is willing to question their government, question them, and push them to work better and harder for them? I think the definition of a patriot is the latter. Someone who's able to say, this is where my country's gotten, great, but how much farther can we go? How much better can we be? Always striving to be better. The first patriots were the ones who left their countries and governments because they were not getting what they needed from them, so they freed themselves from that. And they searched to build a government that was better. As he says in the appendix from the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to those ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute a new government. Exactly, nameless Kiara. That's a name. I don't think there's a definition of freedom in the book because I don't know what freedom is, and Orwell doesn't want to give a definition but to make us question what freedom is. That is a beautifully thought statement. Yes. Remember, in Newspeak, it doesn't exist. Free only means, yes, this place is lice-free. Not, you are free to think. You cannot be free. Things can be free of things. So they would say in that world that, like, Newspeak made it free of extraneous thought, but you cannot be free as a person because the idea of equality doesn't exist. In order to be free, you must believe you're free. I agree with that. We are free. We must believe we are free. If you don't believe you're free, you're not. If you believe you're being held back in any way, you're not free. Freedom exists up in the mind, and I think that's something that they take away, and that's why it was so powerful at the end. O'Brien took away that freedom of Winston's mind. Winston had the ideas, but he was able to think on his own, whatever, with no one over his shoulder. The party, he questioned it. But then, not anymore. 2 + 2 = 5. Craziness, right? But I had ideas about freedom that were brought up in the last part of this book. Hold on. Yes, our minds are powerful, and I think that's something that he wanted to say, was like, freedom is what you believe. If you believe that you're free within that society, you are. Who's to tell you you're not? If you believe you're free right now, you are. No one can tell you otherwise. But it's also about reality control. Think about that. At the end of the book, when O'Brien was saying, how many fingers am I holding up? And it was like this. And he was like, 4. He goes, no, there's 5 here. Why? You have the ability as an individual to decide the reality in which you live. You could live in the reality where this says 4. Or you can live in the reality where it says 5. But this is your reality. You choose. So what they were doing was they were actively telling him to make the choice that what you see does not matter. What you hear, you cannot trust. All there is the party. And the party says this is 4. And this is 5. Something, this is 5. Perception versus reality, exactly. So it's like, yeah, you might perceive there to be 4, but in reality there's 5. Or you might, in this reality, think there are 5, but your perception should, think there are 4, but your perception tell you there are 5. They want you to, what were they doing? They were saying there is no truth. The only truth is given to you by the party. But if that's the thing, if everyone tells you that this means 5 your entire life, this will mean 5. And that's like a scary thing, I think. So what they were doing is they were creating a collective thought. Think about it. They wanted everyone to be part of one brain. Each individual a synapse that fires, but all in the same brain. That idea freaked me out. When Winston said that you can't create a society based on fear or hate, isn't that the point of Big Brother? No, it's not. Because at the end, what had happened? He won. He loved Big Brother. Everyone loved Big Brother. They used the love of Big Brother and they manipulated it as hate and everything. But yeah, I think that's because Winston was still seeing it through his own perception. This is hate. And everyone's like, no, this is love. It's that doublethink. I'm watching the movie 1984 tonight when I get home from work. Yes, I go to work at like 5. But how do you break from that and see that's 4, not 5? Is that what true freedom actually is? To be able to think on your own thoughts without anyone controlling your thoughts? Yes. Freedom is to be able to say that 2 plus 2 equals 4, and 2 plus 2 equals 8, and 2 plus 2 equals 5. That's freedom. So him loving Big Brother was a win for Big Brother. And for him, because then he was free. It's sad, because then he was free from his own thoughts that caused him to not be free in the perception of the reality he was living in. I think doublethink was a part of that. It's hard to understand, I think. Even me saying it, I'm not sure if it's making sense. That's a good question. What do you guys think about the fact that the party was not controlling Winston as much after he was released? Was it because he didn't exist anymore, or because they knew that he won't break the rules again? He was free of himself because he gave in. That's a good one. Yeah, I think so. They had already broken his spirit. That's a good way to put it. I think that's what it is. I didn't take as many notes as I thought I did. Maybe I thought I was taking notes and I wasn't. But O'Brien said some crazy shit to him. I don't think it's that he knew there was no point. He just discovered, because of the abuse that he received, that he'd been living in a perception of reality that was wrong, that would cause him pain. The natural human condition is to avoid pain and to avoid things like that. to be unified. And see what they're doing? They're manipulating what we naturally need for their own cause. It doesn't benefit anyone, it benefits the party. At the end, was Winston an individual mind or a collective mind? That's a good question. It's a very good question. They broke Julia too. They break everyone. Like O'Brien said, no one leaves without being fixed. Benefits the party. Because the party will go on. The party is immortal. That's the thing. He's like, you will die, you will disappear, you will be an unperson. Oh, very much like a... I don't want to say the movie, I don't want to ruin anything, but I'd like to believe that in the end Winston's just playing along, but he still knows what's up. So I would like to believe that, but I don't think that. I think Winston gives in. I think Winston dies. I think Winston loses. And then Winston was like a virus to the party. He's like a tumor to like the collective thought that is the brain of the party that everyone is a part of. I think like Winston gave into the sickness that is the party, became the virus, and then they just have to cut it out. Yeah, it's sad. But there still is hope. Where is the hope? In the proles. I can't say what Room 101 would have been for Julia, but I don't think Room 101 is like a real place. I think it's also something else. I think it's just an idea. They're already in the Ministry of Love. He never knows where he is. I don't think Room 101's a thing. I think it's a state of mind. It's a state of being. It's like Humanity 101. You're doing it wrong, so we're going to teach you how to do it correctly. And even better, we're not going to make it a physical place. We're going to make it something that we just say, and when bad stuff happens to you, you're in Room 101. No, I think the proles exist for sure. Tolerance paradox. Have you ever heard of tolerance paradox? Is that meaning that there's a point of people accepting tolerance to the point where they become intolerant because they're so tolerant? They become intolerant of intolerance. So they become like the, no offense to anyone here, but they become like the annoying liberals that I've met, or even annoying conservatives that could be extremely tolerant, but then the minute you say something that might have been wrong, whatever, they completely flip out on you with like a violent aggression. The proles have no motivation. What was the quote that he says about them? He goes, in order for the proles to fix it, they have to do this, but in order to fix it, the proles have to do this. Like, they have to, like, it's double think. Oh, let's talk about that. We didn't talk about how, like, O'Brien was a huge person in that. And that's something I thought about in the shower that I was going to tweet, but I decided not to. I was like, wait, how could Big Brother and the Brotherhood not be connected? He's Big Brother. And the Brotherhood is the bad... No! Brothers. They're brothers. The Brotherhood was just something to draw people out that might be, like someone said earlier, rifts in the pattern that was created. Oh. Exactly, they are. Big Brother uses the Brotherhood to draw people out that would eventually want to go against Big Brother. Then the Brotherhood kidnaps them and they make you part of Big Brother again. It's terrible. I think this book shows us that you can't win a fight like that if you have without enough people behind you. Exactly. The Brotherhood is another form of propaganda. And at this point, you don't know how long. He tells you 7 years. We don't know how long we've been with Winston. So even before, when he started writing, they knew. What I'm saying, if there was a society, there's a lot of questions that get asked. It's like in our society. If there was a society where we know that there were telescreens in every room, if I was going to be the government of that society, I would tell them that's where you're being watched from. But I wouldn't make that the only place I watch them from. Remember, we have to think like them, guys. In order to ever... When you're going to do a debate with someone or anything, you want to think of their arguments just as much as you want to think of yours. If not more so. You want to be prepared. So if I was thinking of that government in that time, I would tell everyone, yeah, that one telescreen, that's what's watching you. But I'd have a bunch of other things. Why? Because then they would only concern themselves with that, and they'd think they were safe, and they'd think they could have freedom. And then they would trip themselves up, probably like Winston did, especially when he went and spoke to O'Brien. That was just them sealing the thing. And O'Brien proved it when he pulled Winston and was like, you said you would throw acid in children's faces. You said you would spread venereal diseases. You said you would do horrible things in the name of the Brotherhood. Why wouldn't you do them in the name of the party? Oh, you would. Because you need to change your way of thinking. Exactly, like how O'Brien turned the telescreen off. He turned the one that was visible off. There might be 5 others. And then there was one in the bedroom upstairs. That one in the bed. I think that place is actually a trap. Like, think about it more. I'm like, that place was meant to find the people who would gravitate towards it. Oh, Niner Girl, thank you so much for coming. Go teach those kids American Lit. Keep being a badass. No, there are no heroes in front of pain. I think it's because pain is... I don't think it could be... I don't know. Like, right now I'm having the thought, like, maybe because pain is so individual. Someone can share your pain, but you're the only one feeling it. I don't know. Rock 98. So do you, or I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your handle. So do you think Mr. Charrington was actually working with the party, or was he out of it, and it was the party's work on their own? No. I think he was definitely, I literally think all of those things are traps. Was there ever a mention of what Winston did 7 years ago? Like, when he had that thing with that prostitute, was that 7 years ago? Was that the beginning of it? I'm watching the movie tonight. He was a member of the Thought Police. And that's what I think. I think all of that stuff was part of it. Everything was for the case of manipulation. It was crazy. Okay. If it was specified, that'd be cool. But O'Brien said it. 7 years they've been watching you. The Brotherhood does not exist. I think in that world, they've already completely lost. The hope might be in the pearls, but like he said, it might take 1,000 years. But then again, if the idea of the party moves on, the party's immortal. Yo, Kenzie Courtenay, you think O'Brien chose him? That is a badass thought. I need you to elaborate, please. He will always need a villain to set an example of the party's power. He chose Winston 7 years ago. That is, damn, genius. So you guys think? I think we're gonna start reading Anne Frank on Monday. I don't know how much time we have now. We have like 20 minutes, so yeah, I'll talk about that really quickly. We'll talk about it in a little bit. We'll talk about it in a little bit. I want to see it on stage really badly. I'm going to watch the movie tonight. I'm going to try to take a nap later. But do I think O'Brien was once like Winston? I don't know. Because they killed Winston. Or did they? Maybe they did. Maybe he is. Maybe that's how they officially turn people. They find the people who don't quite get it, or they do it to everyone. Who knows? I think he was testing him. I think it's better to say he testing him. Because that sounds like, let's see where this goes. Okay. He got with this girl. Okay, things are okay. He's not one of us. Okay, let's fix that. I think that's what. Hey, do you want to come say hi? Yeah, come say hi to everyone. Come say hi. Look, everyone's talking. See, she's reading all your comments. See, everyone's talking here. Okay. Fine, I'll see you later. So, I think anything to contradict the party was also creation of the party. Think about it. He who controls the present controls the past. He who controls the past controls the future. They're saying they control everything. Everything. I think it was naive of us to think that they didn't even control the people that we thought were good, which, if he's thinking in like a real world thing, we have to always watch our backs and always make sure we're always fighting for the best because we never know who we can trust. Scary. Everything was a trap. I completely agree. Big Brother doesn't exist. Big Brother, I think, is the party. The party exists. Ooh, A Street Car Named Desire. It's one of my favorites. No, I think Julia was trapped. I don't think she was the trap. I think, he noticed that she was changed just like he was. She was like him. Two kindred spirits, they found each other, and then it was all taken away. I liked Julia too. I thought she was interesting. I thought she was naive though, and I thought it was awesome. I thought it was very obvious that she was younger than Winston. I thought she was very, I thought she was cool though. I liked them together. I think their love was as real as it could be in that world. Think about it. Not even parents love their kids, and kids love their parents. Kids were. Love. What is love in that world? No, nothing stupid. No stupid. I'm just saying. I thought. I don't think love exists. Pure love, the way it was. Remember, he even says when he saw that pure love in his mother who sacrificed herself from him, he questioned, is that even possible anymore? That type of love? No. All right, let's take the next 5-10 minutes to talk about the appendix before we start talking about the next time. What did you guys think of the appendix? The descriptions of Newspeak, breaking it down into Newspeak A, Newspeak B, and Newspeak C. The vocabulary A, B, and C. What do you think? Its vocabulary, Newspeak, was so constructed as to give exact and often very subtle expression to every meaning that a party member could properly wish to express, while excluding all other meanings and also the possibility of arriving at them by indirect methods. Crazy, right? It was interesting for real life now. But then again, what does it also mention? It does talk about the power of words. They took out dark and made unlight, or they took out light and made undark. Why? They want to limit. It was very obvious in reading this that his idea with Newspeak was to limit the range of thought. Craziness. Because if you can control the way people think, you start to win. And how can you do that? You control the language, the way they can talk about how they think. All right. Can I talk about a conspiracy theory that someone told me? What are you doing? All right. So, the conspiracy theory I heard was from a friend of ours that we would all know. I'm gonna talk to him to see if he wouldn't mind if I said his name, but he's on the show. He says that Orwell was part of secret societies, and the book 1984 wasn't just some fiction that he made up. He was very much trying to warn the proletariat, the people, the working class, everyone, that this is the direction in which government was going. And the thing that we don't see it, because we always think that it's going to happen by force, which would be stupid. Think about it. If you think about it smart-wise, would it be smart to do things by force? No. I'd want to do it in a way that the people made all of the decisions, so that when they try to blame anyone, they can only blame themselves. They would make you think that you decided it. They'd make you think that you want it. I will neither confirm nor deny whether or not it's Jade. I will just ask this person before I say if it's that person for sure, if they're cool with that. But that's the thing. So we have to be aware of where these thoughts are being manipulated. Even within the media now. Remember, we have the right manipulating us thinking something, and the left manipulating us to think something else. And then this idea that some of those opinions are not valid, this idea that some of those opinions shouldn't be allowed on both ends of the spectrum is scary. Also, the idea that we have people in power who don't care about language. Scary. They think the word good is good enough to describe a bunch of situations. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's the beginning of it. I think. That's the beginning of this. The very beginning is us recognizing it and hopefully calling out the shit before it happens. That's me. And that's why our book club is important, guys. The more educated you are, the more of a free thinker you are, the more you know how and what and when and why to think certain things, and you have physical evidence to put things and be like, no, this is true because of this. I've done the research. I am educated. I've educated myself. The harder you are to manipulate. Okay, we're not going to talk poorly about any politicians. That's not what this live is about. It's not what this book is about. I want to punch in the book. It's a book. It's concrete. It's real. You can read it. The ideas in here are awesome. Cat Parker, that is a dope phrase. Dope thing for you to say. We are all proles, and the problem is we haven't the organization to rise up. My brother talks about it. I want Diego to come on the next live with me and talk about. I wish he was here for this one, because he's been saying a lot of cool ideas. So when he comes on, I'll have him explain a few of them for you guys the next time he's on. But books are super interesting. How much time do we have left? Ooh, not too much. So let's talk about this. Next book, we're going to do The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. Now, this book does talk about heavy things. This book does go into interesting topics. If you ever have the question about whether or not you are allowed to read it, I know some of you weren't allowed to read 1984 because of the torture, and I really appreciate the fact that you asked your parents, and that your parents didn't feel comfortable, and that you respected that. That's totally cool. Read it in a few years. It'll be here. I'll make sure of it. Remember, these books will always be here as long as I'm alive. So you will be able to read them. So don't worry if it's not right now. But make sure you ask your parents if there's ever even the question of whether or not you'll be allowed to read something. I don't want people to think that I'm making people read books that they're not ready for, or books that are against what your parents are trying to tell you and whatnot. You know? I don't want to be that guy. I'm here just to help, not to hinder. Okay, good question. I have never read The Diary of a Young Girl. Never read anything about it. I've never been to Amsterdam, and I've never seen her house in the museum. I have read other Holocaust-type books, and I've seen quite a few. Yeah, I don't want to be corrupting the youth. And I have seen a few movies and whatnot, but I'm very excited to read this book, which has been mentioned and talked about in a lot of things in different pop culture and whatnot. So it's going to be really cool for us to take a look at it and to read it together. We will be talking about heavy things. I will be talking about some historical things for the first live at least. So just be prepared. Also, let's just be ready, guys, that it's a very emotional book. It's heavy, so we're going to take a little more caution with how we speak about it, and we will do it with the utmost respect, so everyone knows. You see, in American schools, I'm not sure if it's a topic. I was never charged to read it. I was never assigned it as reading. I know some kids were. Other schools, maybe. I think it's fascinating that it's compulsory in Germany. I didn't read The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. I saw the movie. Yeah, I'm very excited to read it. I can't speak about the book yet because I've never read it. But so I'm thinking for Monday, we'll give ourselves the long weekend. You know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll start Monday, and then around Monday, I might have a live this weekend just to kind of talk about what our plans are with it. I haven't received the book yet, so I'm waiting for it to come in. All right, good question. What is my favorite book? I think I have a new favorite book. I think 1984 is my favorite book now. Okay, grade 10 Canadian history talks about it. Okay. I will confirm the date for you in a moment. Yes. Well, you can start Anne Frank now. But the first live we won't have will probably be that Saturday the 18th. It'll probably be Saturday the 18th. But I'm going to start on Monday. I will start reading on Monday. So you have more time. But we'll probably read the first part Saturday the 18th. And then we'll discuss at some point this weekend. We'll discuss which, you know, how many lives we're going to have and how many pages we're going to read and all of that. All the good stuff. Okay, I have not watched Stranger Things. I don't want to talk about it. That's cool they mentioned Vonnegut. I'm going to start it soon, so I can't wait. But I don't want to talk about it right now. I've read it. No one bring it up. No one bring it up. I will ban you. I will literally ban you. Alright, so you guys know. One last thing, I want you to tweet this out. Tell as many people as you can. Anchors, Season 1, Episode 1, comes out tomorrow. Jordan and I are going to do a live tomorrow on my Instagram. I know Jordan and Diego are going to do another live on their Instagrams. And we're gonna release Anchors sometime tomorrow afternoon. So, please, everyone, if you can, tweet this information tomorrow. Check out the Anchors Season 1. Let me know what you think. If you like it, subscribe to the Instagram, to the YouTube channel. So please check it out. It's gonna be awesome. One of the things that, as I'm the producer of Anchors, one of the things we want to do with it is bring people that we're inspired by, people who we love and people who we are seeing as these people that are continuing to push themselves to be better. We want more people to know about them and more people to know that yes, you can find an anchor. Anyone has an anchor and it'll come to you. It's called Anchors. I will be posting about it tomorrow. I will be doing a live tomorrow. So I only have 53 seconds left, so that means in 20 we're going to get cut off. So remember, Anne Frank, I'm going to start reading on Monday. We will probably have a live that Saturday, the 18th. I will live again this weekend to confirm that. Anchors, Episode 1 of Season 1 comes out tomorrow. Check it out. It's set to be awesome. And more is coming for Rosende Reads in terms of merchandise. I'm sorry it's taking so long, but I'm working on it. Be ready. We have 26 seconds left. Thank you guys so much for coming. I can't wait to start the next book with you. We did 3 books! Now on to book 4. I just spit all over my camera. That's gross. I have 14 seconds. So thank you guys so much. Best of luck on all your tests. Best of luck the rest of the week. Remember, guys, keep studying, keep learning, keep growing. Rosende Reads. Keep being sources for positive change in the world.